Okay, so interpreting blood gases, the let's say easy way if you're just thinking about what the numbers are telling you. So the pH L means, and pH of 7.260 is, so on the acidic side of normal. The oxygenation is 119, so if anything, high, H for high, but the FiO2 is not room air. So if we're going in our old school PF ratio the simple way, we're going to call that 25. 1 is 25, 2 is 50, 75, 100, and 125. So somewhere between 4 and 5, which is actually a normal relationship between the two. Tell me about the CO2. And getting lower. So that is, the low end of normal is 35. So is the person breathing a little bit more than you'd expect?
Yeah. Breathing more.
Yeah. And does that sound like panic? What does panic do to your breathing? Yeah, which is breathing more or less? More. So panic will reduce your CO2. Yeah? Failing to panic will make your CO2 go up. Now, which one is trying to not die? Panic. So panic is trying to not die. You can call it compensating. I call it trying to not die. Yeah?
Like not trying to breathe is
not panicking. Yeah.
Trying to die.
Not trying to not die. Yeah.
Not trying to not die.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Not trying to not die.
So the ins and outs of that are, do they have an acidosis?
Yes.
Is that a good reason to panic?
Yes.
Are they panicking? Yes. Now, how long can you panic for before you run out of the ability to panic? That's also the problem. Yeah. So in somebody your age, frick, days. Yeah. But as you get a bit older, maybe a day, maybe less than a day, because panic requires doing some of that. Yeah. Now, if you are already a bit old and weak and otherwise unwell, it'll be harder to maintain that. So tell me about their base excess.
Very negative.
Very negative. So they have an excess of alkali or an excess of acid? Acid. And will that give you a pH that is low?
Yes.
So they have an acid excess creating a low pH. Yeah. Now, this basically goes with this. If that's low and then that's low, that's kind of expected. And conversely, if you were retaining CO2, yeah, CO2 lives as CO3, bicarb. Yeah. Because if it doesn't form something that dissolves in water, it forms bubbles. And if it formed bubbles, would you be dead? Yeah. And are you dead? No. So that's what bicarb is, being not dead. Yeah? Because if you were dead, would you have any CO2? No. And therefore, would you have any bicarb? No. Having life means having CO2, means having bicarb. Now, if the CO2 is high and the bicarb is low, that means you have several problems. Yeah? It's not buffering. It's just an indication that there are multiple things going on. Yeah? Somebody might call it partially compensated. I call it more than one problem. Yeah? Because you should be okay. And if you're not okay, you have problem singular, problem plural. Yeah? Old problem, new problem. New problem, other new problem. Yeah? So that's very negative. Now, what's a cause of a negative base excess? Well, some causes are metabolic acids. And the most obvious metabolic acid in these bloods would be lactate, which is what acid? What acid makes lactate? Lactic acid. Lactic acid dissolves into water to be hydrogen and lactate. Yeah? Acetic acid, yeah, regular vinegar, hydrogen and acetate. Yeah? Citric acid, the hydrogen separates off, H plus, and citrate. Yeah? So the H plus is literally the H in pH. If you have more H pluses running around, you are more acidic. Yeah? So if you are more acidic, what happens to your pH? Goes down. So if they have a high lactate, are they likely to have a large amount of lactic acid?
Yes.
And therefore their pH would be low. So do they have a lactic acidosis? Yes. But again, this is only 4 of 11 problems. Yeah. So do they have other problems that are obvious? Well, weirdly enough, their glucose is low. Yeah. So if you have a low glucose in your blood, yeah, might you have a low glucose in your muscles? And if you have a low glucose in your muscles, what do your muscles burn instead of glucose for energy? Fat. And is fat metabolism a clean burn, or is there some remnants? Remnants are ketones, yeah? So could be some ketoacidosis, yeah? We don't measure ketones on this test, but if we can get it a P on a stick, it might show up there. The electrolytes, little complex to think about, but very simply, this is a positive ion, sodium, potassium's a positive ion, and chloride's a negative ion. Now, there is chloride attached to hydrogen, which is hydrochloric acid. Where do you find that in your body? Stomach acid. And is that a weak acid or a strong acid? Strong acid. So that'll have a pH of 1. Yeah. Lactic acid has a pH of 3.5. Yeah. Carbonic acid has a pH of about 3.5. Weak acids. Yeah. Lactic acid, yogurt, delicious. Won't hurt you. Yeah. And it's the rate of making lactic acid versus the rate of clearing lactic acid that's the problem. And what's the other problem? Well, lactic acid is anaerobic metabolism. And anaerobic metabolism produces a lot less ATP than aerobic metabolism. Yeah? Does that make sense?
Mhm.
So the electrolytes, this plus this is 139 plus 4 is 133 minus 110. So what's 33 minus 10? 22. Yeah? So sorry, 143. I'm doing it that wrong. So 139 plus 4 is 143 minus 110 is 33. Now, if I add up the middle of these numbers, the middle of this range is 141. The middle of this range is 4. So what's 141 plus 4? 145. And the middle of this range is 105. So what's 145 minus 105? 40. So you're 40, I'm 40, she should be 40. But what is she? 33. So how do you get from 40 apples to 33 apples? Minus 7. So this is very key to this because we have 4 acids and we have another excess of chlorides, which is another minus 7, and minus 4, so 4 acids, and another 7 acids adds up to how many acids?
11.
Have we found the rest of this number? Yeah, even though they're all blue, they're the wrong arrangement of blue. Yeah, does that make sense? So the base excess is excess base or excess alkali. So sodium, yeah? Sodium forms sodium hydroxide. Is that an alkali? And is that a strong alkali? Yeah, and sodium bicarbonate is a weak alkali. Yeah, but it's the sodium that's doing the pulling of hydroxyls, OHs. Yeah? This is basically the fact that carbon dioxide has to live somewhere. Some of it attaches to hemoglobin, Haldane effect, and the rest of it dissolves into water, carbonic acid, H plus and bicarbonate. Yeah, like lactic acid, H plus, hydrogen, and lactate, H plus, hydrogen, and bicarbonate. It's just where CO2 lives, and it's very obvious CO3 contains a CO2. Yeah, does that make sense? So do we have multiple reasons for an acidosis that are all here? So some lactic, maybe some ketones, some electrolytes, even though those are all blue. Yeah? So if we scroll down to the kidney section, how is the kidney section? Blue, blue, blue. Ooh, tell me about their creatinine.
Very high.
Very high. And that's a sign of kidney sad face. And we'll put that number as the number of sad faces. 4 sad faces. Yeah? Yeah? Yeah. So see, it was maybe 3 to 4. So worsening, yeah? It was 300 and something. It's now 400 and something. Yeah? This is the liver section here. So let's start with bilirubin. And then from bilirubin down to these 4-letter acronyms, so the transaminases, are signs of liver failure. So they're not too bad. A little bit low in protein and albumin, but nothing too bad liver-wise as it stands. Had it been worse? Not particularly.
Sometimes I always see albumin in red and nothing else. What's albumin like purely indicator of?
So albumin, where do you find albumin in your house? That's the most important question.
Not sure.
Egg whites.
Okay.
You know, when you crack an egg, a really fresh egg, and that the clear bit sits nice and tight to the yolk, that is high in albumin. Albumin holds water.
Okay.
Yeah, so albumin is a protein, and it holds water. Your liver takes amino acids that you eat and stitches them into proteins. Literally turns amino acids into protein and albumin. Yeah, and then that's in your blood to hold water.
Okay.
So if your liver isn't working, that gets a bit low. And if your liver isn't working, you stop secreting bilirubin. And what color do you turn?
Yellow.
Yellow. So bilirubin being elevated is a sign that your liver failure is going beyond jaundiced. White cells are and going
Higher.
higher. So is this person getting better or worse?
Worse.
Worse. And the hemoglobin is low, but it's gone up. So what would make your hemoglobin go up?
Infusion.
Yeah, an infusion. Yeah. So sometimes, if everything all drops by about the same percentage, it's just because you were, let's just say you were underfilled, and we added 2 liters of fluid to you without any more cells, so everything would drop equally. Or we now diurese you when you are fluid overloaded, and everything kind of comes back up. Because if your blood volume goes from 6 liters to 8 liters, and those 2 liters are just fluid, you haven't lost hemoglobin. It's just grams per liter. There's the same amount of grams in more liters. Yeah, you're dividing by 8 instead of dividing by 6 liters of blood. Yeah. And the INR and APTT. INR is 2. That's what you have if you're on warfarin, and APTT is for heparin. The clotting times. Make sense?